Hello and welcome back to our channel. We're just in our living room today. It's a stormy day outside and so we're cozy in here. Got some warm drinks. I have some tea. It's apple cider. Is that what you want with?
So good.
Apple cider, and we're gonna answer all of your questions about our elopement this past, well, I guess now last year. Last year,
August.
Dang.
So to give you a little bit of backstory, we met in San Luis Obispo in 2019 on Tinder. And fast forward to May of 2022, we got engaged while we were living in our truck camper. And this past August, we decided to elope in the mountains here in Tahoe.
Since the moment that we got engaged, eloping was always a topic of discussion. It was actually Kelby's idea mainly. He was the most excited about it and I took some time to come around to it. But it was always a topic that we just didn't know much about. Mostly because we were living on the road. We weren't really ready to plan a wedding. A wedding takes a lot of planning. I mean, even the elopement took a lot of planning. So everybody was kind of asking us when we were gonna get married, and we honestly didn't have a plan for basically the first year that we were engaged. And then all of a sudden we were like, okay, we need to start making moves to this. And so we planned it only about, how long? Like 3 months out?
Yeah.
Which was great. It was pretty easy, all things considered.
Low stress as far as planning a wedding goes.
Yeah.
So we'll get more into the details as we go along. But we hiked out to Desolation Wilderness with just our officiant, our photographer, and her assistant, and did our whole ceremony out there. And then after that, about a week later, we had all of our family out to a campground in Truckee.
It was really fun, and I'm excited to share a little bit more.
I couldn't imagine a better way for us to have done it.
Yeah, it was great. So, let's get into the questions. So we asked you on Instagram and TikTok for all of your questions about eloping, and let's get into them. So the first one is, it's your day. What made you want to elope?
The answer is in the question. It's our day. And that was, for me, from the very beginning, the most important part. I just wanted it to be about the two of us.
Yeah, low stress. I love weddings. I love going to weddings. I think that they're so much fun. But the idea of planning one for us felt really stressful. And it was just gonna take so much time for one night that you always hear the stories of it going by so fast. And I really did not want that.
Another big part of the elopement was just the price involved, because we wanted to put our money into a house, so we bought a house instead of paying a lot for a wedding. That was of high importance to us, and we're really happy with that decision.
It paid off. Now we have this place and we have all the wonderful memories from the wedding, but we didn't spend, I don't even know how much an actual wedding costs, but
didn't spend a down payment on a wedding.
Yeah, I know when we were looking at venues, we live in Lake Tahoe, and we were looking at venues here, we were finding places for $20,000 just for the venue.
For one night, just for one night.
No food, no drinks, no chairs, all of that is additional, and I just could not fathom that. So we'll go into costs a little bit later, but...
Sneak peek, spoiler alert, it was less than half of the cost of a venue.
Way less.
Way less.
Okay, next.
So this question was a big topic just before it was even a question. It is, how do you elope without hurting families' feelings about not being included? Yeah, that was a big struggle throughout the whole process, even until the end.
Very valid question.
Absolutely.
Honestly, probably one of the hardest parts of the whole thing.
Of course, everyone in our family loves us, loves our relationship, but they understandably were not super stoked to begin with when we told them that we planned on eloping.
Yeah, it was definitely hard news to break, because as soon as you get engaged, everyone's like, when's the wedding? Where are you getting married? And having to kind of break that news to people was very difficult.
And navigating the topic around everyone was just tough.
I remember I sat down with my grandparents, because in my family, I thought that my grandparents, that they would have the hardest time with it. And I remember sitting down with them because they were asking about it, and I was just like, I just wanted to let you know that I do think that we are going to elope, and just explain to them why it was so important to us, explain the cost savings. I mean, my grandparents, when they got married, it cost a couple $100s. So explaining that to them and explaining that we got the house and why we want to do it on our own, but that we're still going to have time to celebrate with them. And they were very receptive of it. They were brokenhearted for sure. But it was like all about just explaining why it's so important to us.
We didn't want anybody to feel excluded, but we also, like in the previous question, wanted it to be our day.
Yeah.
And so we had to toe this fine line between including people as much as we felt acceptable while still getting what we wanted, just the two of us.
And there was also, I mean, there is the option when you elope to bring family with you, but our situation was a little bit difficult. Not everybody in our group could make it to where we were gonna elope. We were 6 miles out in the backcountry. We were staying the night. And so we decided for that, it was better for us to be the two of us. It was gonna be low stress. And honestly, I'm glad we did it that way, because with how quick even that night went by, like if there were other people there, we wouldn't have been able to really do anything, which we can explain the timeline later, but it would have been like crazy having people.
Plus all the rain, it just would have been,
yeah, it would have been like,
tough with everyone.
A lot of coordinating. I know a lot of people will do that, and I think it would have been really amazing to have them there, but just not for us. Parents definitely had a hard time with it. They were brokenhearted, but they understood for the most part, even if there was a little bit of like not so happy with it.
Yeah. We'll move on to other questions, but we'll explain a little more how the family got involved, and we made sure everybody was happy and felt like they got to be a part of that day with us.
So with that, the next question is, did you do a party with your family to celebrate afterwards?
A big capital yes. So actually one of my favorite parts of this whole experience was involving them in this way, and it worked out better than I expected. We got 6 campsites at Donner Memorial State Park up in Truckee, just north of us, and we were able to have people camp for up to 3 nights with us and enjoy celebrating for a couple days. Low stress, but we got to spend time with everyone, and a good amount of time that I think made everybody happy.
Yeah, it was perfect because I was so stressed about if people are coming all this way. Not really many people live here, so everyone's traveling, and that if we only get a night with them, that was like my biggest hang up. And so to spend multiple days with everybody, going to the lake, we went and got jet skis, we just hung out like by the fire a lot and played games. It was so much fun.
So the middle night of that whole experience, we did a big kind of get together. That was the important night. If people could only make it for one night, that was the one we wanted everyone to be at. We did a big dinner. We got local barbecue and was able to provide that for everyone. And then during our ceremony, when we eloped, we actually recorded on this camera our entire ceremony, so we could show that to everyone, let them enjoy and feel the experience of being there, but we still got to have our day.
Yeah. It was a good balance. All we did was just set up the tripod and just let it record for however long it needed to, so no one had to worry about it. We brought a TV and a little battery bank and set it up on a table, and then everyone could watch our vows and feel like they were there, and everyone was crying, and it was like such a great way to incorporate it all.
Obviously it's not the same as everyone being there, but it, like I said earlier, towed that line really nicely of letting everyone feel that experience. I think it was a great way to actually, for us to experience that with everyone, rather than us being the show, the ceremony, and everyone watching. We actually got to experience and share emotions with everyone during the ceremony.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird concept because we're watching our own ceremony, but it was cool to sit with our family and our loved ones while that was all happening.
Yes.
So 2-part question here. Who did you invite to the after party, and were there any complaints about accommodations, especially for elderly people?
So invitations to the camping was definitely tough.
Yes.
Because we had a limited amount of people that could come. There's 8 people allowed at each campsite, and so when the maximum number of people came, that was all we could have. We invited close family, like our closest friends, and that's pretty much it. It was very low key.
Intimate, personal, all the right people.
It's a hard decision.
It was really hard to narrow it down because there's obviously so many important people in our lives. We were partially limited by the number of people we were allowed to have at the campground. That did cut our list a little bit shorter. And yeah, it's hard to narrow it. You don't realize how many people there are or how hard it is to narrow it down until you're restricted at a certain number.
And then were there any complaints about accommodations, especially for elderly people? And so most people that came either camped or only came for like the Tuesday night dinner.
Okay.
But both of our grandparents all rented Airbnbs nearby or like stayed at hotels so that they wouldn't have to camp because that's not really their thing. And it was great because then they could go home, shower,
be comfortable,
and then come whenever they wanted to.
Also, we were staying up kind of late, so
Yeah.
if they didn't want to be a part of that or be bothered by everyone staying up late, that actually, it worked out well.
Yeah.
And they were really close. Nobody was driving very far.
Yeah. Was it hard to find a photographer and a videographer for your elopement?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Our photographer, Sierra, and I went to high school together, and so as soon as we started planning this whole thing, I knew that I really wanted to work with her. She's just wonderful, and when you're planning an elopement and there's only going to be 4 to 5 people there, you need to make sure that those people are people that are going to bring the energy up, that are going to like make it special.
And
right?
you're going to be comfortable with.
Yeah, because that's a big deal. The couple people that we chose to be there make the whole day.
Absolutely.
Sierra was wonderful, and then she brought her like friend / assistant who also was able to help us. We originally did want a videographer, but we started looking into them, and
A videographer would have almost cost the same price we paid for the whole experience.
yeah, it was gonna be really pricey to get someone to hike out. We got a few quotes, and we just ended up deciding that it wasn't valuable enough to us that we needed that video.
And we were happy enough putting our camera on a tripod and just getting that one video we wanted.
Yeah, and then Sierra brought her friend Nadine, and Nadine took my phone for the day and just took videos on my phone, which was honestly perfect because we didn't need anything crazy or like a big movie out of it. We just wanted little memories, and that was great. Finding somebody can definitely be hard because not every photographer is going to want to hike into the forest and possibly stay the night out there. If you are looking for somebody like this, we love Sierra, and
Sierra all the way.
I cannot recommend her enough. The photos are like, oh, everything I wanted and more. And I'll leave all of her information in the caption in case you do want to contact her. She travels. She's great. Just a wonderful human being. But it's definitely something when you're looking for a photographer, send that in the first email. Hey, this is our idea. Or like I know there are photographers here, specifically in Tahoe, that specialize in elopements, and they'll know better places to go, and they can actually help you with the whole planning thing. Did you know you're officiant?
Yes. Our officiant, Brendan, my best friend. Originally, I asked him to be my best man, and he said yes, of course. And then we were thinking about it that same night, and he's the closest to the both of us as well, out of all of our friends. So that same night, we were like, hey, how about you officiate for us? Funny story, next morning, we were actually staying at his house that night, and the next morning he wakes up and he goes, look, I'm ordained. So, Minister Tholey, thank you very much.
Yeah, and a lot of people were asking in some of our videos about, like, don't you have to have somebody, like, from a church or something? And you can really have anybody marry you, which was great. And he wrote his whole thing. We didn't tell him what to do. He basically dictated the whole ceremony.
He did a great job. Yeah. So we're going to combine 2 questions. 1, where is this? And 2, did you have to get a permit to do this?
So we got married up at Lake Aloha in Desolation Wilderness, which is in Lake Tahoe area. And so it's actually really close to our home. And we chose it because we had been there before. We've camped there.
Multiple times. And
love it. It's so gorgeous. And it was a good happy medium between being out in the backcountry but not being like way out in the backcountry.
Our packs were over 40 pounds for this, so we didn't want to have to go crazy far with all that gear. A suit, a dress, the food we were having, our $4 cake, all that. It was just, we wanted something that was relatively easy but still a place we're absolutely in love with, and it felt right.
In this wilderness, you don't need a permit to do it. We got a backpacking permit, but you don't need a wedding permit. But I know that if you want to go to a national park like Yosemite or Zion, you do need a permit for that kind of a thing. So it just depends on where you are.
Yeah.
The $4 cake. I need to see this $4 cake.
Best wedding cake I've ever had.
So we decided to bring a cake we brought dinner for everybody and champagne. Those were like our little luxuries that we brought.
Thank you, Brendan, for carrying the champagne.
Yeah, our officiant carried all of it up. He was great. But we got burritos from a local restaurant here. And then the cake is the Trader Joe's little sheet cake that's, I think it's $3.99.
Something like that.
And there's a vanilla one and there's a chocolate one. The vanilla one is better, and I'm a chocolate person. But it was
The vanilla one is just so rich.
It's so good.
Oh, so good.
We ended up not eating it that night, and we ate it for breakfast the following morning.
It did start raining while we were trying to eat dinner, so everybody just like piled into their tents.
Yeah.
So it would have been dessert.
I guess we haven't even talked about what happened with the weather.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Side,
yeah. Little sidebar here. So in California, in Tahoe, happens a lot in other states too, but we get it pretty bad here. August is part of peak fire season. So we were really concerned while we were planning this. We were super excited for August. We were stoked to have it kind of almost end of summer. But we were really concerned that smoke was gonna just fill the area this year. And we were fortunate that that didn't happen. However, on our way up, and a couple days before actually, we were watching the weather and it was raining and stormy and raining and stormy and raining and stormy.
Big thunderstorms.
All week. So we were like, you know what? We're going to hike up there. Since we were there for the night, we were like, we can do it tonight. Or if it clears up in the morning, like the forecast says, we can possibly do it in the morning. Built in a little backup plan. While we were hiking up, it was definitely raining. We got there, it was raining a little harder, and we were setting up our tent in the rain. And then
yeah, when we got there and we all like sat down with our packs and just chilled for a second, and all of a sudden it started pouring. Like that was the most rain we had got. Oh my gosh.
And then we were still like, okay, well, this might happen. We might be able to make it work. The rain was getting lighter. So we started getting ready and the skies decided to open up for us. Just beautiful blue skies with actually some like,
it was cloudy.
Like dramatic, cloudy, stormy, but beautiful. And so we made it happen that night.
Yeah, it was great. But I was panicking the whole, like when we got to camp, I was having a hard time with it. Rain on your wedding day is good luck, but we're also 6 miles into the backcountry. I really don't want to be soaking wet, in all honesty.
And it couldn't have been more of a blessing.
I mean, we got a rainbow. It was like there was no sunset, the sun started going down, and then all of a sudden we started to see this little bit of glow. And we were like, wow, that's beautiful. And then we turn around and there's a rainbow, almost a double rainbow, all the way across the sky. And it was absolutely unreal. The nature was like, happy wedding day.
People have asked us if these photos are edited to add the rainbow. They're absolutely not. Just the raw photos themselves are mind blowing.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
Back to the regular scheduled program.
Yeah. Next question.
2-part question here. Zoe, where did you get your dress and how did you do your hair?
Okay, the important stuff, finally. So, I got my dress from Lulu's online. I spent $119 on it and it was great, like super high quality. I ended up ordering about 6 and then I had my mom come over and we tried all of them on, just so I could have that little bit of experience with my mom. And then as soon as I tried this one on, I knew it was perfect. And I just loved the open back and it felt super high quality for how not expensive it was. I was able to fold it up and because it's lace, it didn't get wrinkly at all. I brought it out when we got to camp and it looked the exact same. Jumped in the lake with it, still in great condition. I'm super happy with it. All I had to do was I just personally altered the buttons on the very top, just like with a needle and thread on my own, but can't beat a $119 dress. And then for my hair, I had longer hair at the time, and because the dress had an open back, I wanted to do my hair in a braid or up, but I ended up deciding on a braid. I practiced this at home many times before I actually went and did it because I wanted to make sure it would work, and I went and hiked with it to see how the curls would work after a long day of hiking. And what I ended up doing for the hike up, I braided the majority of my hair just to get it out of the way, and then these front pieces I did heatless curls. And so I used a bandana and wrapped it around my head and then wrapped the bangs around the bandana and then put another bandana on top of it so that they wouldn't be like flying away or getting caught in the wind. And then right when we got to camp, which was probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours before the ceremony, I took the curls out so that they could rest a little bit. And I brushed them with my fingers. And then I just put my hair in a fishtail braid. And I did all my own makeup because I don't really wear much makeup and I just wanted a super light makeup look. And it was great and cheap. Free, actually.
Love that. Love free.
Can you tell us about the budget you had?
There was no budget. So...
In a different way than that sounds, though.
There wasn't a strict budget. We wanted to do it as cheap as possible, but still have the parts we felt were important to us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a strict budget. We were willing to spend on some things. It just, we didn't really have a set number.
Mostly because we didn't know how much this kind of thing would cost. I will say photographer was by far the most expensive part of the entire thing. We got lucky because Sierra's a friend of mine. We worked out a discounted deal, but I would plan for starting around $2,500 and then going up from there depending on the photographer, their skills, and how much time they're going to be committing to it. Are they going to be spending the night with you like she did for us? I mean, yeah. That's a pretty big deal. So let's go through the rest of what we spent.
She's got her spreadsheet.
Got it all lined out.
Always with the spreadsheets.
So starting with the elopement itself, not including the after party. So my dress was $119. Kelby's suit was $479.59.
I can wear the suit again. Let that be known. The suit is useful in multiple occasions.
Yeah. Everyone talks about expensive wedding dresses, but they don't talk about expensive suits.
Okay, in the usual world, that's cheap compared to a dress.
I went to Trader Joe's and got flowers for my bouquet and a little boutonniere for him, and I spent $30, which was great. We got vow books off of Etsy. Those were $42. The cake was $4, wedding cake for $4. We got dinner for everybody that was joining us at a local burrito place or just down the street from us, and that was $84.17 for 5 burritos.
That's everyone that went. Our photographer, her assistant, and officiant, not for everyone at the celebration.
Yes. There was a boat that we took for the first part of the trip.
So, where we went backpacking out to do this, we'd done this trail a couple times before, so we decided we didn't need the experience of the first 2.5-ish miles. So the 2 lakes that you pass, there's actually a boat that can take you all the way to the end of the second lake from the trailhead. So we decided to do that, and
which was really fun.
Yeah, it was also a unique experience. And then for the 5 of us, it was $100 each way, so it ended up being $200.
And then I got my nails done, and that was $86. Rings. I actually used my engagement ring as my wedding band. I was kind of debating. I was looking for a while at getting a wedding band, but I couldn't decide on one, and I don't really wear mine that much because we're always doing things. And I love my little ring that I have, so I just decided to keep it at that. So my wedding ring was $0.
And then I bought mine because I obviously didn't have a wedding band or anything like that. So I bought mine, and it actually came with my silicone ring as well, both from the Ridge, and that was also I think that was $220
mm-hmm.
for a little case and the 2 rings. So then after the elopement, about a week later when we did the celebration with everyone, we didn't have very many costs involved with that. So the campsites for all 6, it was $675 total. And then the big group dinner we did on Tuesday night was $1,000. That was a huge gift actually from Zoe's mom. That was your parents, the wedding gift to us was that meal. And then drinks and snacks. We went to Costco and provided all that for everyone. Ended up being $532.
Yeah, so we just got like a bunch of drinks, like alcoholic and non-alcoholic, that everyone could have throughout the weekend, mostly for that dinner night, but then we had enough that everybody could have it throughout the whole time.
Yeah.
For a wedding, for bringing 40 people, paying for most of them to stay the night, and for a big dinner and drinks for everyone, and the whole celebration for us and like our wedding, I'd say we did very well, and we're very happy with how that panned out.
Better than I expected price-wise. I expected more, and just really happy with how that turned out.
Yeah. I mean, so when we were looking at videographers, I got a quote for $6,000 just for a videographer to come with us, which is totally understandable because it's a ton of work.
Yes.
But that's why we didn't end up deciding to do that, because it was just unrealistic for us to spend that kind of money.
Right. So next question, did you bring all documents with you or just sign the papers when you got home? And did you go to a courthouse?
So when all we did was go to the local county clerk's office, made an appointment to get our marriage license there before the ceremony, like the week before, brought our paperwork to the trailhead, but they told us at the county clerk's office, don't fold this too many times, don't get dirt on it, like it needs to be in pretty good shape. So we left it in the car, got married, came back the next morning and we signed it, and then we just had our officiant Brendan sign it, and our photographer was our witness, and so Sierra signed it, and it was super easy.
And safe in the car. We were, with all the rain and everything we dealt with, that would have been just a recipe for disaster in the backpacks.
So we did not go to a courthouse at all. You don't have to do that. You can just pretty much get married wherever you want.
For the most part.
Okay, last question. After all was said and done, do you think you dodged a bullet by not having a bigger, more conventional wedding event?
Oof. Yes. So we're really happy with how it worked out for us. I think that it absolutely made sense, and who we are, it fits us. For some people, a bigger wedding makes a lot of sense, and that's what they want, but this is what we wanted, and we couldn't be happier.
As two people who don't love being the center of attention, that was kind of one of the biggest things about having a big wedding, is like planning this huge event, being the center of attention, and having all of the stress was like all the opposite of what we wanted. We really just wanted to have the ceremony, the two of us, and then get the quality time with our friends and family, and that's exactly what we got. And I don't regret it at all. Like, it was one of the best decisions I think that we've ever made. We have some of the coolest memories to look back on for our wedding, and to tell the story of like how cool this whole event was. And we have some of the coolest photos. It's not about the photos, but
they're pretty damn cool.
The photos turned out really amazing, and I just think that it was such a unique experience and a little bit different than what we have typically seen. But especially as somebody who was a little bit more skeptical of it, I am so glad that he convinced me to do it. I'm so glad that I was talked into it. It was just all wonderful, and I'm so happy that we saved the money that we did. I think that is all of our questions for today, but we cannot say thank you enough for all of the love that we have gotten on this whole elopement and wedding and everything. It just means so much, and I'm so excited that we were able to share it with all of you and hopefully inspire maybe a few more elopements. I would love to see that if that happens.
If you have any other questions that we didn't answer here, feel free to ask in the comments. We can either answer there, or if there's enough questions, maybe we'll do a second video if that's something that's of interest. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.